we are here in the WiT Studio with Laura Houldsworth from Booking.com. I thought it would be interesting if you gave us a brief introduction of yourself and what your role is like at Booking.com.
Sure, thank you. Well, thank you for having me. As you mentioned, I'm Laura. I'm the Managing Director for Booking.com Asia Pacific. I joined Booking last summer, so a very interesting time to join.
Yeah.
I'm responsible for the Asia Pacific region. I've been living and working here for almost 18 years.
Right. So could you expand on this connected trip experience and why that's important, especially now for the endemic traveler?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've been working with travelers obviously for many years and got a lot of experience understanding what they're looking for. But, ease of use, convenience, choice, value are really very important to the travelers. And I think more than ever right now, given the disruptions that we've had over the last 2 years, and then with the demand coming back, that disruption has been continuing. So it's really important that we make the travel frictionless and really connect the traveler where they need us. And that needs to be at every point in the journey. So from the very beginning, when they're considering looking for inspiration, which then requires us to touch them early on, and then obviously their transportation, their accommodation, and then actually in the trip as well. So it's important that we're having conversations with the travelers at all times and to provide that seamless experience for them. And it's not just about packaging the pieces together. It's really about making them all string together in a seamless, frictionless fashion. And we think that that's become more and more important.
Right. So I don't know if this question makes sense, but is the demand for the connected travel experience coming from newer, younger travelers, or is it slightly older travelers or tech-savvy travelers? Is there any insight into something like that?
I would say it's across the board. Tech savvy definitely, because travelers are used to now using apps for everything they want. And the more that they can get in the one app, the rise of the super app is very prevalent across Asia Pacific particularly. And so I think that there is this desire to do as much as possible and have things very personalized. And with the connected trip, we're able to do that. So I would say tech savvy definitely, but it's very across the board. Frictionless, seamless travel is a desire for everybody.
It's a big thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Booking Holdings hit a milestone in Q2 this year with 240 million room nights, which... what factors do you think contributed to this, and especially in a post-pandemic landscape and environment? Because that's a huge number.
It's a huge number, and we are, very proud to be able to capture that demand. The reality is it's been 2 years of pent-up demand, and so for us, we were able to just make sure that we were very ready for it. Our accommodation partners have been looking to us to support and to help to drive, for them to drive that demand,
right.
For them to capture that demand, sorry. So we have been working with them throughout to make sure that we were ready when the demand came. And we know that's even recognized in our traveler confidence index that we did earlier in the year that showed 3 out of 4 travelers actually are very ready to travel, and 46% said just to get away. Right? So there is a desire and a demand there, and we were able to capture that demand by being ready and making the availability, talking about ease of use, convenience and value. Right? So we were able to do that. I think that's contributed very much to the success.
So speaking about capturing, right, I wanted to talk about challenges. What do you think is still causing travel hesitancy in some sectors, in some groups, and how can businesses still tap into that market today?
Yeah, I think we went through the perfect storm, right, of huge demand coming as soon as borders start to open, which then aligned at the same time with peak periods, the summer period, for example, as things started to open, inflation, currency fluctuations, airport capacity not being able to cope, flight capacity is not there, obviously challenging geopolitical situations. So it was almost the perfect storm of, okay, how do we make sure that our travelers still feel that level of confidence? So I think there's a lot of challenges that make people hesitant, but it's not stopping them. Right? And so in terms of helping accommodation partners or our flight partners to be able to capture that, it's all about flexibility. So wherever there's hesitancy, they're looking for convenience, cost, but the flexibility to be able to adjust. And so we're recommending very much we stay with that.
Right. So I understand that the umbrella of travel tech is huge, it's so wide, right? But based on your personal opinion, what do you think is the role of technology in aiding the recovery of businesses and partner merchants as Asia starts to open up to the world again?
Absolutely critical. I think there's no escaping it. Technology has enabled us to do so much more through the pandemic, right? Even from digital vaccination certificates, right? The fact that we were able to prove the health and safety, get over health and safety concerns was critical. But then now for us, as I mentioned, when it comes to convenience or whether it's ease of use, the technology has to meet you where you need it, and it has to drive much more personalization. So we invest a lot in personalization with AI throughout the data that we carry. Every booking is touched by machine learning to make sure that you're getting the data that you need at the right time and to inspire you. So I would say it's absolutely critical, and it will continue to rise. And we see over 70% of our bookings are made through mobile. So we know that it will. It's a trend that's only going one direction.
So on that note, what can businesses do to capture the mindsets of the endemic traveler, understand the endemic traveler, and sort of tap into that market moving forward? I know this connects to a previous question, but just expanding on that, what can they do? Like, how do they understand the endemic traveler?
I think the critical thing is to understand what travelers are looking for. So some are still making that first trip post-pandemic. Some are now into their multiple trips, but they're looking for the same things. They're looking for mental well-being. And our travel predictions from last year, or for this year, were very heavily on well-being. We know that 46% of travelers travel for their own mental well-being. And actually, if you look at Thailand, for example, 76% of travelers will go to retreats intentionally for mental well-being. So we know that wellness travel is a trend that we've seen this year, and I think we will continue to see that next year as well. And therefore, I think that there's a lot of opportunity for the hospitality industry, accommodation partners to capture and look into that demand while providing that flexibility. So I think we've got more predictions coming out in the coming weeks, which we'd love to share with you as well for next year. But I think that the wellness trend, but with flexibility, we will continue.
That was actually going to be my question in closing. Like, based on all the market research you've done, based on your observations, what do you think travel is going to look like in 2023? We're at the end of 2022. So what is the next year going to look like?
Yeah, maybe I covered it just now, but I think it's very much it will remain quite similar. I think for now, it's very much about making sure that we have the right availability where travelers want to go. So we're seeing also different destinations. But traditionally, pre-pandemic, it was a lot of tier one cities. Now people are going a lot more off the beaten track, looking for different areas. The vitamin vacay, as we were referring to it in the travel predictions for this year, is a trend that I think we will continue to see. We talk about wellness travel. So I think that we can expect to see more of that in 2023.
Right. Laura, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.